You guys walking out on the left if you want.
Young men or kids here, were there a lot of comings and goings?
Always. And they'd come all hours of the night, these lads. They were here during the daytime.
Mr. Grex, what? Oh, wait a minute. That's probably going to Put your hand up.
This guy on the phone.
Well, we'll see.
She could put him in the back bedroom. There's a phone back there, too.
Okay. Okay, we'll try. What kind of man was Mr. Gacy? What kind of a man? How would you characterize him?
Oh, I don't know. I characterize him. I thought he was a pretty fine person. Very good. Very. He was very amiable. I liked him. Even now, I like him. I feel sorry for him that this has happened, but he's been a wonderful person, a very generous person to us.
Now, what kind of a neighbor was he?
Very good neighbor. If there was a case that I needed to borrow a tool from the man because he had many good tools, he was more than willing to let me have anything I wanted, anything.
Now, of course, we know that the problem here is the story of these bizarre occurrences, murders right next door to your home. Did you ever hear anything that would indicate to you that there was foul play going on over there?
Never a sound, not a sound, never. Not even, like they've asked about screaming or anything. Never a sound out of that house. It's always been a quiet house.
Never any noise or anything?
No, other than maybe doing some construction work at night outside, a little loudness that way, sawing and things like that, but I attribute that to his work.
Let me ask you something else. You said about he seemed to have odd hours. Would you explain to me what kinds of things you heard going on at night or whatever?
Well, it would be basically loading his vehicles. His trucks were coming constantly, and at all hours of the night they would come in. That might be strange, but I attribute that to work. His remodeling, sometimes they'd load a truck up at 1, 2 in the morning, and then off it would go. I never knew where it went to, but the lads got in the truck and took it away. Or they would come back with material.
These were young men coming back and forth?
They were always young men that he had working for him.
Now, did you ever have any indication that there was any kind of foul play going on? He was supposedly a homosexual. Was there any indication of that?
No, there never was anything. I only had my own suspicions of why he was always surrounded by so many young people. Always young males. Never older persons, always young people.
Did you ever talk to him about this late night activity, that kind of thing?
Only at night if they got too carried away and would get a little too noisy. I've gotten up at 1:30 and 2 in the morning, and when he was sawing out there, and I would ask him to cease it, and he said, "Sorry, Ed." He said, "I'll stop right away." Because I had to get up for work the next day. I said, "John, that's annoying to have you sawing with a power saw out in the garage at 1, 2 in the morning," and he'd done that on a number of occasions.
How do you feel now, thinking back on those incidents, that noise late at night, and then knowing what you know now about these murders?
Well, now I kind of see some of the stuff that was going on. It probably was something pertaining to what he was doing. A number of times he'd come home with his car now at night, at odd hours of the night. He had a big old street lamp that he installed up in front, and that was quite bright. He'd go in the house, shut the light off, and then he went to his olds, and he seemed to be struggling. I never seen what, but he'd be with the door open for 15 minutes. I thought, well, why the hell don't he just take the thing in, and that was it. But he'd be there, and finally I'd give up watching and go in the house, and the door was closed. But it's hard to tell what he was struggling with. But he seemed to have a problem getting in, and then later on the light would come on the outside. And then it'd be 2, 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning. He'd go back out to jump in the car, and off he'd go again. Those were the hours that he carried on. But I thought it was business. But it probably was some of this foul play, maybe bringing some of these young people in.
Do you think he could have been carrying bodies in and out of there?
A few times the trunk was open. He could swing in because of a circular driveway to his house, and that also, the light was always his habit. He swapped the light off, switched the light off that had on the outside, and a little while the trunk would open, and it was the same thing. He was in there digging around. What he was removing I never seen, but then eventually the trunk would get closed, and he'd close it and go in the house or retire after that, or he'd take off. His lights were on all hours of the night, or all night long they'd be on.
Was there a lot of noise in the house with
Never.
other people, anything like that?
No. I had a habit of, I didn't like his friends, and I had a younger son that kind of associated with some of his lads, and one time I got to return to the daughter that woke up, Dad, she says, Ronnie's got a friend in the house. And it was one of his employees, and I'd get a hold of Ronnie. I says, take that guy and get him out of here. 3 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to bring no friend into the house. And I put them both out. My son said, if he goes, I go. I says, then you go too with him. And they spent a night in the house. And I went there the following night, and I told John, I caught this one kid. I said, if I ever catch you in the house, I said, I'll break your neck for you. Because I just don't like him in there. Not 3 in the morning. And John says, you stay out of Eddie's house. Even if Ronnie calls you in there, you have no business in there. Because I've had a number of articles vanish in the house, and we have no idea where they went. I lost a $1,000 diamond ring. I got no idea where it went to. It could have been some of his weird friends that Brown would bring in here. It was pretty scrubby and scurvy as far as I was concerned.
Okay, fine. Oh, really? Apparently tearing it up in there.
Well, the dumpster is full. John's. The pool was above ground. One of them
Oh, it was an above-ground pool?
above-ground pool, and he sold the thing because he had no use for the pool. And some other person bought it, and there never was anything. There was a little depression in it, but he just leveled it off with dirt, and there was grass put on it. At that time, this was right after he moved, a year or so after that he moved in there. But if they're to do any hunting, my best bet is that he should be, they should look under that garage floor. This was laid on the lawn. Hardly any gravel other than the roughness that was in there. What was on the pool in this area, he took that and threw that in the back there. But there he had the habit of poking around in the evening too. Whether digging,
back by the
where the garage is, underneath that now. But that was pretty quick. And I'm suspicious also of where he has that major barbecue pit in there. That I came home that one day and he had a hell of a hole dug in there.
Yeah.
And that was before pouring concrete, and I never did see the finishing of it. Only
I'll tell you when they lift that up for us. I suppose we should have cleared the clothes out, but my son says he left those are most of his things in here. And here comes the spade. I don't know if you want him in here. That's Peanut. And go, Ed. Pardon? Open the door. Okay.
The depth to the bottom or the floor height? Which would you prefer?
The bottom of it, I guess.
The bottom of it is 39 inches. That's the depth for the crawl space.
Put it in dead center.
This will show it deeper, of course. Because the floor height, I think, is about 52 inches.
Okay.
So, you know, I contend that he must have been busy filling it with something. Because there is an awful lot of room.
It would have been about 30 inches till you'd hit the
40 inches.
40 inches.
40 inches to the bottom of the rafter. These are 2x10 rafters. This is the lowest point, is that steel beam which supports the entire length of the house. The rafters are off.
You're running.
The insurance company had it cost $14,000. It doesn't cost $30,000. We built it for $28,000. They burned these walls down. All this area to half in the kitchen is burned out.
You're an automatic, John, so you got light, Iris.
And one day, all I did was put the toggle switch on the furnace, went to the store and come back down the street and went on. They set the rafters on fire and burned the walls of the bathroom.
Hold it. And go.
3, 2, 1. Gacy had lived in this house for 7 years, and though police continue to turn up bodies here, neighbors say they had no indication of any foul play here. No more time.
Anytime.
3,
Fire engines to the bottom.
3, 2, 1. Gacy had lived in this house for 7 years, in a house where bodies are now being uncovered. Even so, neighbors had no indication of any foul play here.
Audio was good.
Go. 3, 2, 1. Gacy had lived in this house for 7 years, and now, though police are beginning to turn up bodies, neighbors say they never had any indication of foul play here.
No good. Do it again.
3. Can't.
Go.
3, 2, 1. Gacy had lived in this house for 7 years, and now, though investigators are beginning to turn up bodies, neighbors say they never had any indication of foul play here.